Okay, hi Julia.
Hey Diane.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
So, tell us about how you got into yoga. What was your first exposure, and how did your interest deepen to the point that you became a teacher?
So actually, I came to yoga from a dance background. Long story, I'd been living in California for a long time where I was a professional dancer. And for reasons we'll get to later, I got away from that and ended up moving back east. So after many years away from dance, it seemed to be a logical step to turn to yoga. There was a yoga studio in my town, and a good friend had encouraged me to check out a class, which I did. And so initially my interest in yoga was just around the physical practice. I loved really flowy, dancey styles, which I still do. But then I learned that yoga had a lot of other things to offer. Meditation, pranayama, ways of healing, community, among other things. And so my interest, while I still love a good dancey flow, my interest grew in a sort of therapeutic direction as a result of those other healing modalities that yoga offers.
So, that therapeutic direction, you've taken yourself really deeply into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So what happened was when I was in California, I became an alcoholic, and moving back east, I got into recovery. And what I discovered was that while 12-step programs were wonderful for the cognitive piece of recovery and great settings for creating community, there was something, frankly, the embodiment piece. I knew that for me, part of my recovery was feeling what it felt like to be in recovery. There was a really felt sense to me about what that means. And also, while the 12-step programs talk about God, they don't really help with giving you tools to meditate, to really express in that what we talk about the the bhavana piece of yoga, which I really identified with. Even though I was raised a Catholic, I still found the yogic practices quite spiritual. So I started pursuing yoga as a therapeutic modality, and I am currently doing a 500-hour training with Bo Forbes, who's in Boston. And her work is around anxiety, depression, chronic pain, and other sort of chronic ailments that she approaches with using mindfulness-based practices. Very slow movement, very mindful movement, interoception, which is finding subtle awareness within the body, and also just a deep awareness of where the body is in space. And these are ways in which we can combat what she calls the default mode narrative, which is our own dark story that we tell ourselves about ourselves. So through these practices, the idea is we get out of that story, out of the samskara, if you will, that we've created for ourselves, and start to build stronger, healthier neural pathways. And so we create new samskaras. So that's my work with her. And I've also done some work with Timothy McCall, who wrote the book Yoga as Medicine. And in his work, we look at structure, nervous system, Ayurveda, psychology, and spirituality. The idea being that we approach all of these pieces of the individual to work on healing and growth through whatever means we can. It's a very tantric philosophy. And I think what these two really have in common is their approach to the person, the whole person. That we have so many different qualities, and that all of these need to be approached and handled. That preset protocols don't really work. And then this leads me to my work with Y12SR, the Yoga for 12-Step Recovery, which addresses directly those concerns I mentioned earlier. And that's really been helpful to me and very meaningful on my road to recovery.
Excellent. So, tell us a little bit about your personal practice. You've certainly mentioned, a lot of the different aspects of yoga beyond just the asana practice.
Mm-hmm. So I do love a good kick-ass asana. I do love a good physical practice. I enjoy that. It's just not the end-all and be-all. And I've noticed that my practice at home has really slowed down There's some days I like to move quickly, but other days where I really want to move more slowly and therapeutically. I've also started incorporating tennis balls and other little golf balls and things to get to connective tissue, which I sometimes throw in class as well. And then, of course, the meditation piece. So I can't say I'm perfect, but I do try to get in some daily meditation each day. And I find that, in the Bo Forbes training, we talk a lot about these tiny 2-minute tools in which we just take 2 minutes and you come down and either find awareness in your feet or connect with the breath. All these little tools that we can use when we're in traffic, when we're at work, when we're triggered by the boyfriend, whatever. And these kind of yogic tools I have found to probably be the most profound piece of the practice for me right now.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your class.
Well, my classes can really vary, but my class here at Sunlight has become a really fun place. I tend to work very therapeutically with the group who comes in on Thursday mornings. Through Timothy McCall and his cohort, Eliana Morera, who's a spine expert, I really learned a lot about the structure of the spine. And so I tend to have people who come in with back issues. So we work a lot with that, various spinal issues, but also other types of injuries. I'll often have people doing different things in the same class. And I think it's really important to keep a close eye on what people are up to. Some people would rather just do their own thing, and that's cool too. But I tend to offer a lot of modifications and different options for people to do. I still like to move with flow, move with breath, and that's generally how my classes go. But first and foremost, I would say I try to take the energy of the room and from there decide where we'll go.
Excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with us. It's been fascinating.
Thank you.
Take care.